Welcome to episode 160 of Rebirth Revolution. My name is Melissa Olson. This week we will wade back into the current day issues between women and men, but I want to start with a concept that is very much in play with this issue and others, such as racism, anti-Semitism, and rejection of anyone who is not a straight white male. Those who dehumanize people who have less power than them have to adopt a mindset that makes them feel entitled to hold that line, to keep that unearned power. The dehumanization process is one that seeks to make the marginalized seem bad and wrong and weak. It creates a narrative that tells why the marginalized cannot possibly be granted the same power as anyone else, why they cannot be trusted. At its worst, it tries to convince us that they shouldn't even exist. But it all starts with a story. There was always a story. Women must suffer because the first woman ate the apple. Women cannot be trusted with power because they have menstrual cycles and are too emotional. Women can't have power because they have children, though this never applies to the fathers of said children. There are endless tales about why women can't have equal opportunity and power. None of them hold up. Interestingly, no one ever says that men shouldn't have power because they are too prone to violence. Though about 90% of all murders are committed by men, no one sees this as being an issue that should ever influence the power over others that they feel entitled to possess. A study shows that law enforcement officers commit acts of domestic violence at roughly 15 times the rate of the general population. Yet no one suggests that they shouldn't have all the weaponry and power over others that they can amass. Every group of people who are marginalized has had a narrative spun around why they are either not enough or entirely too much. There is always some sort of reason. But underlying all of this is the assumption that if the marginalized achieve any sort of power, they just may use it in the same way as those who previously had power over them. There is the underlying fear that the marginalized will use their own power in the same fashion that their oppressors have used theirs. If black and brown people outnumber white people, they may treat white people as badly as white people treated them right up until the power shifted. This is a very human point of view, and it is extremely prevalent in those who reside at the lower levels of spiritual awareness. It is the assumption that everyone else views and processes the world in the very same way that you do. This is a dangerous and faulty assumption. If you are at a high level of spiritual awareness and you think that every single person out there in the world is acting with honesty, integrity, empathy, and humility, then you will be eaten alive. If you are at a low level of spiritual awareness and you think that everyone out in the world is ready to con you and to take what you do and do even worse in retribution, then you have a very jaundiced and dangerous view of the world. People will always act at or near their own level of spiritual awareness. The thing is, the different levels of spiritual awareness are found in every single group of people, no matter how you divide them up. There are people at high levels and low levels who are men. There are high-level and low-level women. Each and every ethnicity is made up of people at all the different levels, as are all the groups of people who are seen as out of the mainstream. Every single grouping of people contains souls who are at every point on the spectrum of awareness, and the behaviors you can expect out of them will line up with where they reside on that spectrum. What does this mean? It means that you have to deal with each and every individual person, ferreting out where they might be on this spectrum, and therefore how much you can or cannot trust their actions. It also means that there is no grouping of people who should automatically have or not have power over others. We try to make things simple by grouping people in a way that makes sense to us. The only problem is that we do it the wrong way. Life is never as simple as we might like. In the world of dating and potentially connecting with a partner in life, you can only attract people who are at or near your own level of spiritual awareness. We think it is an external thing, but it really is an internal thing. We are not attracted to those who reside at levels of awareness that are much lower than our own. This is bad news for some men. In the time since men were the prize, women have been doing the work of raising their level of awareness through personal exploration, education, work opportunities, and generally setting up their lives the way they want. They are becoming more at peace with being by themselves, which is always an indication of where you are on the spectrum of spiritual awareness. Those at lower levels need constant interaction and some sort of chaos, so they do not have to look at what they are feeling and the work they need to do on themselves. They need constant distraction. A person who is higher in the levels of awareness is at peace being alone, and they value that peace more than anything. Many young women have worked on their internals. When young men find out that women have raised the standards of what they want in a partner, they tend to work on their externals. They think that achieving this short list of accomplishments that would have won a man a wife back in the day should work out to their advantage now. But the whole situation has changed. A good paycheck and a car to drive you around in is no longer enough. Mowing the lawn and taking the trash out, it's no longer enough. Women are now looking for true life partners. Some men who are not willing to do the internal work think that simply stating that they are nice guys is telling prospective partners something important. But just politely reject their advances and you will find that veneer to be extremely thin and inauthentic. The guy who tells you he is one of the good guys will be the first to want to burn you at the stake if you are not interested in dating him. Someone telling you they are a nice guy is the equivalent of someone telling you they are honest and you should trust them. Major red flag. If someone is, in fact, a good guy, you will know by their actions and reactions. It is tough news for some men who are unable or unwilling to do the internal work to become equal partners, that the targets of their desire now value their own peace over all else. Women can now make their own life and preserve the peace that they have done the work to achieve. They are no longer required to tolerate any chaos or unhappiness that an unevolved partner could bring into their life. Luckily, as a person does their internal work, they rise to higher levels of awareness. As they go higher, their powers of discernment become more keen. They know that they will draw to them those who are at the same or similar level of awareness, and they can see and feel the inauthenticity of those who only profess to have done the work. It is a spiritual truth that you are, at minimum, disinterested in, and at maximum, repelled by those who are at levels that are lower than your own current level of spiritual awareness. This keeps us on track, moving forward and moving higher. We do not have the time, nor should we be expending the energy trying to drag people up from lower levels. That is not our job, and we don't even have that power. This is the time for men to step it up. This is the time for them to become whole and complete people. By not doing the work, they are cheating themselves of knowing all that they could know, feeling all that they could feel, and finding connections that are truly deep and meaningful. They can only win by doing the work. They have everything to lose if they resist doing so. Women will be fine. Men, not so much. They can either focus their energies on trying to control women and force them back into the small box that they granted them in the past, or they can understand that those days are over and it is time for them to move forward. Men and women doing the work of being fully evolved will make this world the brightest version of what it could be, and the partnerships that come out of that will be something spectacular. Thanks for returning for another week of Rebirth Revolution. We can be found on all the podcast apps, the music apps, and full episodes play on our YouTube and Facebook pages. You can find all episodes on rebirthrevolution.com. Please download, rate, and review whenever possible. Until next week, think about what parts of yourself you are ignoring. Think about how you might be ignoring your own growth by focusing on others. And remember that only you can do your own internal work. Remember, you are loved exactly as much as every other person on the planet, not 1 ounce more or 1 ounce less. Stay strong and safe and warm.